offline mode on my devices because that is fuck. It possesses electronics. Okay. Alright, let me just go through my checklist. I got my health kit, I got my first aid kits, my 3 escape vehicles, triple checked as long as the escape routes. And let's see. Oh, yeah, okay. Alright, yeah, I got everything. Everything's running smoothly. Okay. Howdy. And any unfortunate soul, soon to be dead or otherwise, for watching this video. By the time you're watching this, I have already made 5 copies on VHS tapes and sent them out to several close connections, as well as published the original on the YouTube platform. If that goes down, you may find this on some empty random YouTube channel. I am also using an accent to disguise my real voice, and I will also might be fluctuating through them as I tend to get lost in my speech. I bet you're wondering why I have done so much to make sure this video goes out. Yeah? Because I'm sure anyone close to or not submitting this into this little contest will not see the light of day or anything perhaps within the next 24 hours. You won't take me alive! Oh, damn rats. Much help. A little bit of designs, the EMP guns I'm using. Still have to figure out how to hook up my car batteries to this. Anyway, I knew exactly what I was getting into when I started this project. I may be afraid of what's going to happen, but I just can't resist. Such a large fault of the human race, and quite positive. This here is the Dreamworld Entertainment Facility. And its story begins kind of close. All of this happens in Ohio. I was confused for the longest time. Before we begin, I want to list the collection of characters in order of hopefully the correct timeline as I believe they're going. Xavier, Edwin, Lisso, Allison, Carlos Nicholson, Owen Nicholson, Celio Clen, Sarah Culletman and her 3 bullies that still do not have a name, the unknown Hammer Guy, Norman, Wyatt Nicholson, Eric Gale, Ribbon Dancer, Louis Bright, Starlight, Mike, Rex, Audrey, Lori, Andrew Owens, as well as Morris, the triplets, Jake, James, and John. Thank you to my fellow investigators. Carly Gale, Cheer, Ben and Liz Acrimony, Lolly and Pop, Oliver Acrimony, and Bailey and Clem. Now, I ordered them similar to how they appear in the timeline. I'll be going over the evidence that supports how they fit in. I don't want this to be a boring, oh, here's how everything definitely fits in. I want to go over this thoroughly, precisely. I want it in order, like Wyatt's tapes. Sorry, Wyatt, if you are watching. But I don't have a lot of time here. Everything still looks good. Travel cams are still in order. Now, Xavier. A lot of you are probably wondering why I put Xavier as the top of the list. Xavier doesn't show up until the end of episode 8. The same episodes we get a first look at Audrey and Mike when they aren't alive. When they were alive. Sorry. A bit skittish right now. I've heard and seen some things moving around the neighborhood, but don't need to worry about any of that. The prayer cams and such. What is that? So, anyways, Xavier tells us that he put clues in Brainbot's other shows. I found only 2 of the 3. Well, technically, he gave us the first one, but I believe that's all I need. As I said, I'm running out of time, and I don't have enough of it to go through every episode of the Loop SMP. But after me uploading this video, I would gladly watch it. I need something to de-stress about the whole Dreamworld thing, anyways. The two clues are found in Heroes of Destiny Chapter 1. Xavier was well, perceived by them as some sort of savior that saved the world and gave it its magic. This tells me that Xavier is some type of world-hopping, reality-jumping entity, a watcher per se. And in Spellmania episode 1, the characters, a group of them anyways, goes to a special little pond. A pond that is said that the characters can use to project their ideas and motivations or ideas, as I probably already stated, to the creators that live down below the clouds. One of the characters gets a bit cynical, per se, and states things about how much power one person could hold if they control the pool. The character corrects them, saying that that's impossible because not just a single entity can use it, it's used by all of them. Where this cynical character then replies, maybe that can change. And this is, I think, what that clue is. I think that this is what Edmund thought. I think this is how Edmund started this long chain of events that eventually lead to countless murders, countless deaths, and tons of cover-ups. You see, I believe that Xavier introduced himself to Edmund at one point in time. However, I do not think that Edmund or Litho is from the future. I don't think he brought a camera back in time at all. It says here in my notes, says, yes, right here. Me, Edwin L. Abedmeiser, the interaction between them kind of meant something along the lines of this. Supported by the evidence, Xavier had interfered with our world, as Xavier states, and the subtitles, not really subtitles, the end little word things at the end of episode 11. As well as his interaction with Kali shortly before her demise. I believe that Xavier is what we would call the world jumper. It's self-explanatory. Don't ask me to explain. Xavier in those words seen throughout 2 of the episodes that we have was, I've seen enough. No. I've seen enough. I should have known better than to interfere the first time. Why did I think it was right to interfere again? Because of me, your world has been permanently changed, and now this virtual channel has been corrupted as well. I'm coming to your world. I will find a way to make this right. No matter how long it takes. As I said, I don't know where Edmund fits into the timeline. I don't think he's from modern day. But if Edmund is Litho, then how did he end up in the 1800s? Whenever Xavier arrived in our world, he must have talked to Edmund And then they started chatting about things like soul essence in different dimensions. After Edmund started spouting off things about control, power, and things other than world watching, Xavier refused to speak to him, and thus Edmund began studying soul essence on his own. Why do I believe that Edmund is lethal? During a tape that showed Allison going out to play with little friends of his, don't know her name or her voice, it was all glitched out like, that's the best way I can interpret it. He places his hand on the book and he says, "I'm sorry, Little, I'll return with my studies, blah, blah, blah." As he leaves, the book is written, A Study of Soul Essence, by Edmund L. Abedmeiser. The same man that Xavier told us who cursed his aunt. The same person Xavier told us was the man who cursed his aunt. This means that Lizzo was human at some point. And from what I can gather, Edmund's study was sort of successful because of what he currently is now, a writhing eldritch horror mess with puppet strings. Only something of great and immense godlike power itself, perhaps the ability to tear holes in space and time, or realities, possibly not time, could have transformed him into that. Or perhaps he died in his experiments, and he turns into that creature that we know him as Nipple. Did he somehow use his puppet strings to bring back a camera to him? That would make a bit of sense since he stated several times that humanity is evil. Only somebody very old, timeless, and wise could see the changes in humanity's behavior. But then again, the 1800s to 1900s was when a lot of war, disease, and, well, communism started popping up in media. And he's also watched the rest of the world rise and fall. Stock markets and all that crap, blah, blah, blah. But why bring a camera with him to the past? It would only make sense that he would know, it would document the things that he's done, and only give more clues to anybody trying to stop him. I am 60% sure that Edmund Little is not from modern day. I think he's actually from the 1800s, perhaps somewhere earlier than that. I think that with his soul energy, he managed to rip some small gateway, use his puppet strings to grab a camera and brings it back. Now, why do I necessarily believe this? Well, there are several things on why I believe it. The inventor Carlos can communicate and possess electronic components. But we have only seen this soul possess physical things, living things, humans. And he needed Winnie's help to operate the website for the cover-up. So either this soul can't interact with tech, or he just doesn't understand it. I mean, even though you can't teach an old dog new tricks, I assume he would have evolved so due to how timeless he is. Lizzo only needed Allison to breach the gap between soul and mortal. After that, his family was torn apart and killed, possibly to keep everything secret. The first time we see Allison and Lizzo interacting is more per se the moments after he has possessed Sarah, where it is addressed that he appointed Allison as guardian of the watcher, guardian, protector, whatever of the spirit realm. And that Allison had posted a detective to help him, someone who he cannot trick due to his special abilities. That's Damien. I've gone through my notes several times, and I've never really understood why. But I have a note here that says, I did this part before playing through the Dreamworld game, so I hope I'm not just stating the obvious. Where Allison fits on the timeline is self-explanatory, as Starlight tells us the camera is from the 18th century. But then again, how did Sark get that camera? Perhaps it was recovered during the construction of the facility. At least, that's my best guess. I don't really have anything else. Whatever. You think. Sorry. Learned that from, my Texan family. Yes. Texan cousins, whatever you prefer. Allison himself isn't very present in the show, other than providing background context and helping Wyatt. As after helping Wyatt and Stark get to the caves, he cannot move on any farther. I do have a theory as to why he couldn't, besides the fact he stated that his remains are in the facility, but he did get shoved into his violin right afterwards, where he was saved by Hazel, after getting thrown into the trash compactor. On to Carlos Nicholson. Let me check my notes here. Here it is. The obituary. It says he died likely around the 1980s. That's when the main rumors of the inventor dying down there. Blah, 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 blah. Why did he get into this? Why? He had plenty of time to escape, run away, tell Lisa to fuck off. But then again, he lost his wife, Lucy. I believe that's why he accepted it. He was on his way to immortality and saw somebody who had already been doing the same thing in the caves. After all, we did see Carlos during the recording at the end of all the Allison stuff of him investigating the cave, finding weird scrap, finding the collectors down there. In fact, I sort of suspect that the metal down there in the caves, is what was used to build the animatronics currently inhabiting the Dreamworld facility. And as to why he's still going through this, other than the fact that he signed a contract, he still deeply cares about his wife. As the reason he deeply relates to Stars and Stars' love and affection, respect and care for Wyatt. Winnie himself in episode 5 told Sarah that he died in those very caves. Now, I know the rules state that I'm only allowed to orally meet the media in the Welcome to Dreamworld series, but it didn't say anything about history or a personal experience. Stick with me for a second as I pull out his next notes. So around 1980, is when the suspected death of Carlos happened. Handheld cameras, especially camcorders, were becoming more compact and readily available for public use, especially in 1944, when companies like Sony, Sharp, Canon, and Panasonic started making their own handheld cameras. The reason, actually, I do have an inference right here. This camera that Star holds with the box-like shape and zooming camera into the middle closely resembles a Sharp VLA 1110U. Again, that is a Sharp VLA 110U. And cameras like that in 1944 had those type of designs. Box-like, compact, simple camera, buttons all over the back. I do not think the camera that Litho gave to Allison was some modern-day bullcrap. I think that Edmund, or Litho, had used his minimal supply of soul essence to bring a camera from the closest time period of which they were invented, possibly to record himself and his successes. Maybe he wants some type of Hall of Fame or some type of history hall for him when he becomes a god. I don't know. He's just a narcissistic bastard, in my opinion. Of course, what do I know? I know a lot, actually. As what happened to his son, Owen, and father, Wyatt, we can see that he was greatly traumatized, as seen in the drawings made by him, shown through an audio log by Celio, close to the end, or sort of the middle of episode 11. Now, let's talk about Winnie, as he did most of the murders, and I'll listen in the order of which I believe they occurred. Eric, Mike, the triplets, Jake, James and John, and Carly. I'm not for sure who killed Audrey, but it was either Litho or Winnie. And why don't I see Sarah? Because in episode 6, Hidden in Morse Code, the second part of Sarah's call, it says the new Sarah's first call. And yes, I did see cul-de-sac before continuing to play the episode, so I give myself credit for that. But I'm just putting together a timeline. I'm not exactly, making a list of whom kills whom, for Scheisse sake. I leave the murder track into Damien. Damien's that poor guy. I do know that Audrey is Glory, due to the context inside of the security tapes of a conversation between the two all the way back in episode 2. Winnie also plans to backstab Litho in episode 9 after Wyatt had fixed Rex, stating, and might I add, pulling a Star-Lord, because I'm one of the idiots that live in the universe. I still find that funny. That was really funny. Winnie later, after quite literally holding Rainbots at gunpoint, or perhaps White Tail Memory 2, used it to cover everything up, and this forgave him. As well as wiping all of the animatronics' memories. All of them. Das ist die Art. This is why I read the comic. Ich should das dir. Seriously. Das ist scheiße. So, Celio, the significance of the story is that they were Owen's therapist and Sarah's caretaker. Both revealed in episode 11 and episode 13. And was aware of the little entity, as apparently Lizzo had been terrorizing her since her first homicide, for an unknown amount of time. But is also the one who had lured her into the forest, as Sarah states, a rabbit doesn't have that many eyes. I think Sarah wasn't chosen by chance, or that it's really her fault. Mayhaps she's innocent. Mayhaps Lizzo influenced her somehow to kill the bullies. Out. I'm just now realizing how much of a creep this guy actually is. Celio meets Sarah way after Oliver, because when her therapy sessions with Oliver, clearly Oliver was still that of an age of a child. It had to be a long gap. The reason she took interest in Sarah and became her caretaker, is because of her mention of red eyes, an entity with red eyes. If she was familiar with Lizzo from Owen's descriptions and drawings, clearly the mentions of somebody else, like 20, 30, maybe 15 years later, from another child, would be quite alarming. Don't you agree? Hey, shut up, I know it's just a recording. I don't care. I wheeled you into this workshop so you could, make sure nothing goes wrong. Good sir, I did not extract you from an MP file. Good sir, I did not extract you from an MP file or JPEG, whatever the hell you were that randomly showed up on my computer. I did not ask for you. I don't know where you came from. All I know is that you're not from the Sarah's Creations or Lizzo's, and I'm just fine with that. I said shut up! Shut up! Don't come. Yeah, fuck you too. Now, we come to talk about one of the biggest characters here, Sarah Covington. To covet means to yearn, possess, or have. Basically, envy. Ironically enough, this is exactly what causes the downfall of Sarah and the rise of Lizzo. She wanted immortality to escape crimes. But that doesn't really make sense, as I will talk about later. Regardless, the fact is that she wanted to escape her consequences, contacted Lizzo, whether on her own self or not, and caused this. Now, what do I mean by that? Sarah, at about the age of 6 or 10, murdered her elementary school bullies, because the ages 5 to 10 are typically the normal age of an average elementary school student. This is told to us during a cut of episode 1. And the police interview happens in episode 10. In episode 5, during one of Lewis's video diaries, she interrupts him, saying whenever the topic of her elementary school bullies came around, she says, here, I quote this, I wish I could have stopped it, to take it back. Meaning, she did have guilt, at one point at least. Something had to happen to trigger the event of killing Lewis without even a second thought. Perhaps it was because Lewis knew about her whole plan with immortality. Possibly more than Oliver, as seen in the gameplay of the Dreamworld video game, or web series, or whatever, in links. It seems that she suddenly brought it up to them, changing their plans before opening week. Scaring the both of them. Claim to be saving humanity. However, Sarah had a full meltdown after the murder of the triplets. After that cause, though, as I stated, she's no longer herself. Why she chose to do it? Maybe because she was the only. What exactly am I saying about her? Because she is only responsible for 4 deaths. Only 4 of them. 4 of them. The 3 unnamed bullies that are now possessing 3 of the 4 broken, discarded, fabricated animatronics, whatever you may call them, I'm calling them broken. And of course, Lewis. Right. Now, I'm going to take a second to dive into what I mean of those 4 broken animatronics. As the wiki and some people in the community, or I guess, yes, community, don't seem to realize something. At least not to the people that I've talked about. I want to talk specifically about Lorenzo, or at least that's what I'm told their name is. You see, I think the souls of her bullies possess nightlight in the 2 deers named Millie and Gruff. I think the big ram one was Gruff. I'm not exactly for sure. It's been a bit. In this glitched cut of episode 6, we get our first glances at Lorenzo, Nightlight, and Millie and Gruff. Nightlight says, we were just kids, we didn't know what we were doing. And the 2 deals, they're not exactly important in their cuts, because they just said our world will never hear our lessons, our music, blah blah blah. And here's the big part. The thing that the wiki does not cover, whether by Sarah's or Litho's intentions. That's why I don't pay attention to the wiki. I do my own research. During the cut in episode 6, close to the beginning, when we first see Lorenzo, in the witch cut, is that Lorenzo says, I was always called the matchmaker at work. Perhaps I can take that role a bit more seriously now. At work. Think about that for a second. At work. An elementary school student does not go to work. The only person I can think of that's unaccounted for, or dead, or at least assumed to be, is the Hammer character. At one point, I did believe the Hammer character was Lewis, right? But the thing is, we saw the reason I thought that was because we saw Lewis's dead body in some type of closet during episode 8, where we see the corporate emergency tape repeating thing. But we later see in the events of later in episode 11, when Lewis gets his first look at his body in months, is that he gets a flashback of Sarah with a knife held over her. And again, in the game, it shows that Sarah's call took place close after the time she murders Lewis. And Lewis's body was sitting there, lifeless, dead, on the ground next to the desk. I will get more into who I think this hammer person is, or rather, who I believe it to be. Maybe they're separate. Like I said, I'll get into it. I keep rambling. Oh. On to another small character that we don't see much of is Norman, called Normal Man by Morris, the court jester bat. We see him and that fact that he is a robot during the interactive tapes. Why exactly is this man important, and why was he killed, and by whom? I believe I saw an image of Sarah killing him. I'm not for sure. Sarah may have killed like 5 people in that case. Anyways, he died in order to become the main face of Watchful Eye Toys. He is not Lisso as I previously thought, but he is robotic. Perhaps cybernetic enhancements, perchance. Oh, I like to pick at his head, whatever is left of it. I probably shouldn't go messing with Lisso's tech anyways. So, as he enters the interactive tapes, Morris walks in to see a severed hand and a bloody maw of 2 twin blows. The hand, of course, he recognizes. We get a flashback, I don't know how this got into the tapes, whether by slow lessons or otherwise, an employee named Andrew Owens. An employee's name we saw in the staff files at the very beginning of this series. How exactly did he die? Well, Glory will actually kill him. I know, that's weird, crazy, right? Why would Glory, the kindest character of this cast besides Star, would kill an innocent person? It wasn't her fault. It was a fit of rage. In fact, I believe that you see, he was killed by Glory in a fit of rage when he told Glory that an interview that they were having was for Sarah's records. I don't know, something about Sarah. So, I mean, poor guy, right? I mean, geez, you trust such a large, motherly, kind figure, I guess you could call it. That's not funny. It's not funny. I'm fucking depressed. Shut up over there. I will mute you. I will mute you. I will not say it again. Okay, so now we get to Wyatt Nicholson. Wyatt Nicholson. Our main man, oh, I almost stabbed myself there. Our main man, our knight in shining armor, for the spirit world and otherwise. Wyatt is the son of Owen Nicholson, and he is the grandson of Carlos Nicholson, the man who left him the arcade and mansion. As White stated in the Halloween episode, fine, I'm coming with you. What do I even have here? My grandpa's creepy mansion and old arcade, you're all I have left. Of course he says that to Lewis. That much is true. So, base information I have, besides his family, is that Lewis and Wyatt were romantical partners. And still are, Star just show a lot of care and respect, lots of worry for Wyatt's goodwill. Stating that he wished he could have given them a second chance, and he should have never moved away from Wyatt. As seen after the facility collapse, at least a clip of it, during the several tapes that are found amongst the amongst a very confusing and very fun Welcome to Dreamworld game. What are you talking about, River Dancer? Oh, so what? I like his character. He looks fluffy. I know they're made of metal. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you. Blasted thing. I should have never wheeled you into here. I should have kept you over there at my computer network. Not network, that sounds too fancy. My freaking gaming computer. Shut up. White apparently has been digging into the Dreamworld organization, facility, company, whatever, since the fort was founded. Mainly because he didn't trust Sarah. That much is very, very true. But if that's the case, how did White get hired without Lisa or Sarah noticing them? In that case, I personally... I have no idea. What matters is, according to Allison, all of the spirit world is watching him, waiting for him to save them. He is his chosen one or something. He has undercover most. He is the reason we have seen Welcome to Dreamworld in the state that it's currently in. And in fact, I suspect that he will be having an interaction with Xavier very soon. Perhaps in season 2. But then again, only time will tell. Come on. Now, on to Eric Gale. Eric Gale is Sarah's adopted father. No. Eric Gale was Sarah's, Lewis, and Oliver's robotics teacher. Or something in the robotics field. Coaching, robotics, I don't know. He adopted Carly when she was left off at his doorstep, and became Ribbon Dancer, as we see in episode 8 and 9, as well his secret tapes. His soul is very broken, thus the creation of the separate entity Ribbon Dancer. Ribbon Dancer is a separate entity from Eric himself. That being said, I sadly don't think that Eric will be able to return to his body due to the fact that his body was prototype handheld machine gun. Very cartoony, but I care about it nonetheless. Also, not everybody's body is there in the freezer. In episode 11, we see that there's only 4 freezers. Let's see here, what is my notes? I just want to double check. Yes, 4 freezers. Lewis is in one of them. As the other 3, I believe there's either Audrey's, Carly's, and either Mike or Oliver's siblings' bed in Liz. Why I think it's either those 2 and why I don't completely move Mike out of the way is because simply of the fact, why did they put them in possibly either or the same freezer? Well, it's because Michael's body was crushed into paste in the trash compactor, despite the fact we see a cut of his dead corpse on the floor completely fine. And Ben and Liz's brains were fried by the virtual reality device. I'll get into that and what exactly happens later. Louis Bright. The grand and mighty Louis Bright. What a man of creation, and I aspire to be like him and Oliver. Of course, not dead though. Not dead. Okay, where's he fine? Where's he so good? He is the one who builds and constructs his robots, or animatronics as he would call them, as well as wrote some of the code. Here's Starlight, and if you haven't caught that by this point in the series, then you're obviously not watching the series. Get out of this video now. We're not understand anything. Go watch it. Literally. Binge it. I don't care. Just get out and don't come back until you understand. It was Sarah's fourth or fifth murder. And still, he is the ringleader of the animatronics. At least he keeps everybody in check. He makes sure that everybody's okay. And all the animatronics seem to look up to him in a way. The Spider guy, really, he is. He told us in episode 5, during his video diaries, that he could not figure out how to get the animatronics to talk. This gives us, a biggest clue to telling who died when, who got put into who, blah, blah, blah. Where we can put him, introducing him to the timeline, is when Sarah was in middle school. During what years? I'm not for sure. I'll get to that in my timeline at the end. But regardless, he became friends with Sarah during middle school. As for Mike, his last name is unknown. Thanks to him and Audrey's chat in both episode 2 and 8, we learned that he is a recently new hire, needing money and this job due to the fact that his parents have kicked him out for coming out as trans. Honestly, without that context, I would have always assumed he was a guy. Sorry, wrong to assume. Audrey offers for them to become roommates, pays their rent together, because she would be leaving for college soon. How very sweet, how very wholesome, honestly. Honestly, we need more like people like Audrey. We can connect the dots. I actually connected the dots that Mike was vexed a long time ago due to the color coordination in what was left of the letters in Oliver's TV track. In fact, we can connect a lot of dots of which character is which, just from those letters. I mean, when you go back and think about it, Oliver wrote in green, Mike wrote in orange, Audrey wrote in blue, Lewis wrote in a cyan blue. Eric, I forget what color he used. I don't think there was a letter from him. In interactive tape 3, we get a dialogue between Wyatt and Celio, where Wyatt reveals that he feels that Rex will not want to go back to his normal body, due to the fact he feels more masculine in the Rex animatronic. Which, I mean, I can't really blame him. I mean, me personally would love a body that doesn't age, doesn't get weight, doesn't get acne. In fact, I'm quite fond of cats, actually. Yes, quite fond of cats. Besides the point, I'm getting off track here. episode 5, Rex tells us he was crushed by a trash compactor. Besides Winnie's confirmations, that's all really the evidence we need. Besides the fact that in the letter that we find in the moments leading up to Oliver's death, or not really death, TV trap event, we see that the only thing Mike wrote about was his concerns for Ben and Liz running around the haunted house. Funny how he ended up being the security, the main security, or perhaps the only security animatronic in any place. I've never really seen any security guards there. Then again, I don't suppose they want a security guard roaming around at night, digging throughout scenes. As for Audrey, I know next to nothing about Audrey, other than the fact that she is the kindest and sweetest person in the main cast of characters. And this may have contributed to Glory's motherly-like attitude towards everyone. That, and during episode 2, when Glory and Rex were talking, Rex stated that he'd been like that for 2 weeks before Glory ended up becoming sentient. It's also possible that possibly Audrey was killed before the triplets. The reason I believe this, besides Rex saying that only Starlight and the Ribbon Dancer could talk like them, the triplets talked about the animatronics, listing Starlight, Ribbon Dancer, and Rex as being the only animatronics that could talk. Sheer, Lolly and Pop, and Glory were not mentioned in their little discussion. So what's the deal with that? We also see that she murders somebody named Andrew Owens during an interview during a hit of race. Very unfortunate for Andrew. I also want to note that it's very clear, as of episode 8, that Audrey is Glory, due to the fact that when Audrey and Mike talk for the first time, Audrey is dressed in tight, swim instructor-like clothing. Maybe that's not the right word, you can't really tell with animations. Regardless, her uniform did have the Sea Adventure theme, images, and water paraphernalia on her suit. As for Andrew Owens, I have done next to nothing about him other than the fact that he was killed by Glory and became more suggestive about. And another thing, if he was a mechanic, that would explain how Wyatt actually got his job at Dreamworld. That would actually explain how Wyatt got his job at Dreamworld. They needed a new mechanic. As for the triplets, their names are Jake, James, and John. Again, thank you to my fellow investigators for telling me their names, as I don't know how they got that information other than Jake's, as he's mentioned by name before being murdered by Vinny. John possesses Masquerade, James possesses Melody, and Jake possesses Mimic. I mean, if they're color coding on their shirts was not enough, I mean, I don't know what other type of hint or evidence he needs besides that. Now, they were killed between Mike and Audrey's murder, altogether in the rest way by Winnie. The only other thing is that John is the cautious one, James is the troublemaker, and Jake is the scared and skittish one who looks up to cheer. Not going to lie. That is kind of wholesome in a way, but I think being killed there was the last thing he expected. Now, on to Carly Gale. Carly Gale is the adopted daughter of Eric Gale and died at age 13. As in Eric's last recording in the secret tapes, stated that Carly was 13. She was a very daring and brave young lady who went digging and searching for her father, where she was unfortunately led on a scavenger hunt that ended up in her death, despite Star's best efforts. We also know that Carly was the one watching the security tape addressing the rumors in episode 3. In fact, besides the scavenger hunt being planned for her, it's a protocol Cheer Up Carly tells us enough. Now, how do I know that Cheer was before Pop and Lolly, but not after the triplets? Because in the security shot, it shows Cheer clearly stating Eric as rhythm dancer and herself as Cheer. And in episode 10, when they're now awake and aware, Eric hugs her and calls her My Little Ladybird. Ah, what a sweet reunion. Really it is. I love it. In fact, it almost made me cry if I'm being honest. I don't know, something about a lot of darkness and drama being overshadowed by the wholesomeness. I don't know. Another thing I want to mention is that during Carly's investigation, she came face to face with Lolly and Pop. However, they were still very stiff and not talking. So Carly had to be killed by Winnie before Ben and Liz. Speaking of Ben and Liz acrimony, they are the younger siblings of Oliver acrimony. They currently possess the Lolly and Pop animatronic, after being murdered by Litho in Sarah's body. I know it was after Litho possessed her, because the thing that makes Sarah snap was the needless murder of 3 triplets. And at that point, Sarah didn't hesitate on killing the 2 of them, even though they were very closely related and had a deep connection with Oliver. And it had to be after Lewis's murder. As Liz clearly states, the reason Ben is afraid of Starlight is because Starlight stares at them whenever they are around Sarah. It can't be Sarah herself. She would not have done that, especially how badly it would risk her position and her secrets regarding their close relationship to Oliver. As for Oliver acrimony and where he fits on the timeline, he got involved with Sarah and Lewis Bright during high school. He is the third founder and the one who designed and coded the animatronics. I'm about 100% sure about that. Besides the freaking nightmares he had where he was blaming himself, his nightmare called him the inventor, while Lewis was his designer. But after reviewing my notes, it's safe to say that he's just blaming himself, as Oliver was more of a robotics guy, and the designer, and Oliver was the technical guy, the computer guy, both figuratively and literally. Sorry, Oliver, I had to make that joke. So I thought about this for a little bit, and all they would need to do to at least pause the events of Welcome to Dreamworld is take Oliver to a doctor to get examined and to get the TV analyzed. After analyzing it as it was on purpose, and the entry and the scars of entry means that it would fall in from above, they could have sued Sarah. An investigation on Sarah would have brought up her past with the bullies in the station and her hysteria as a child. That would launch an investigation on the facility, but there's only one problem with that. Even if she did get sent to jail, Lithal would just leave her body and find a new host. That being said, I believe there is something important about the Astra character, as her announcement in the interactive tapes, I do believe that Sarah will be possessing Astra. Anyways, enough about that rant. Oliver is also the trigger that will trigger the memories of Ben and Liz, Lolly and Pop. Pop and Lolly. Pop is Ben, Lolly is Liz. As we see them wake up from that, and him being the trigger, in episode 13, Wednesday enters that hidden room in the maze. That's right, I'm gonna turn this into a blunderbuss. Got it for $5 on Craigslist. I want to bring up another thing that the community and the wiki seems to have wrong or stuck in their minds. As the weird, creepy eyes that we see around the series. People say the community believes that those eyes belong to Oliver, but that can't be. Oliver already has a set of green television eyes, and those eyes are what caused Letho's VR experiment to go rogue and kill Ben. Why would Oliver intentionally kill his siblings that he cares for so much? I have a separate theory. I believe that the eyeballs belong to the spirit of Owen Nicholson. Even though the text of the eyes does state that he has written the code, it's either that or one of Oliver's rogue AI. The eyes did appear to Oliver in one of his nightmares, possibly being a reflection of his inner self-doubts, fears, regrets, but I don't think it could be Oliver. It could be the hammer guy, unless the hammer guy became Lorenzo. Speaking of Lorenzo's, I want to go on about Sarah's bullies. And I know what you're thinking. Oh Sheldon, you're such a moron. How could the souls of Sarah's bullies, all the way back from elementary, be trapped in those animatronics? They couldn't have put them in there. And you're right, they couldn't have put them in there. In fact, I think this is when the experiment started. Sarah didn't bring them there. It was either Winnie or the power of Lizzo that brought them to the caves of the facility. After the animatronics failed the experiment and were thrown out, the spirits attached themselves to the animatronics. Also, I don't think, to go back for a second, the hammer guy cannot be Owen due to the fact that the hammer guy died inside the facility. Owen was alive and died way before even the construction of the facility. So there's that. But here's another thing. Again, like I said earlier, it didn't say you couldn't use history or personal experience. There is a hotel at close to the Grand Canyon that has a room about 300 feet or so inside the caves where tours happen daily. These caves are lined with limestone, sandstone, and dead coral. Things that have had water infuse them and break them down. Why do I think that these caves might be lined with those rocks? Because here's the thing. Water is kind of like a barrier for ghosts, spirits. Why are lighthouses always said to be haunted? Because the men who die on the seas are led to that bright light. Thus why locations that are built on water, especially ones that date back to the 1900s or 1800s, are considered to be very cursed and haunted. If what I believe is true, and the caves are lined with limestone, sandstone, or dead coral, Edmund may have intentionally chosen those caves because of the inability for souls to pass through them or move through them. Also, why he puts the collector there. Now, enough about what I think I know. It's time to go on about what I do know. If you would give me a second. On to Damien Glenn. Howdy, Damien. If you're watching this, I have to say, I find that eye of yours rather interesting. Were you born with it, or was it an accident? Forget it. That's not an appropriate question to ask. You're probably wanting as much evidence of connections as I have, so I'll do my best. And if someone by the name of goes missing, contact the channel you find this video on, and he will connect to my connections, who will get back to you. I am currently located in Central, because that's the last place Mr. Orwini would ever dare to look. Ever think of looking, in fact. Damien Glenn is a detective that has been recruited by Allison to help stop Litho and guard the Spirit's World. You should probably redact that part if you wish to win your case. Or your police reports, in fact. In fact, everything I talked about spirits and stuff. And such. Oh boy. He has been investigating the Nicholson family case for a little while. In fact, it was his first case. What's the head of the first case that was, eh, Damien? Huh. Oh, jeez, I need to lay off the shoulders and such. He is currently housing Wyatt owns Oliver while they plan to stop Lizzo. Oh, wipe that smug look off your face, Lizzo. I already know what you're thinking. Oh, what fools thinking they could stop. Oh, what fools! They think they can stop me? They have no chance of stopping me or my gateway. My gateway is almost complete. Come Sarah's birthday tomorrow, I will have enough souls in one place to open the gateway. Ha, 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 ha. What a dumb bastards you are. How ironic you and Sarah both are. Your jokes, your irony has given me more than enough clues to piece together a congruent timeline. I know what you are, Edmund. I know exactly what you are, way before it was ever hinted at or mentioned in this series. I know that you want to jump from this world and become a god. You don't care about humanity. You don't give a shit about humanity. Every mortal on this earth has at least one time in their life thought about leaving this world to be happier. Face it, Edmund. You're just like the rest of us. You're just like the rest of the human race. Worse than them, in fact. You lie, you cheat, you manipulate, you kill to get what you want. You are a God-fearing man, aren't you, Edmund? Otherwise, you wouldn't have gone this far. Now, would you? What you got to taste? That little tiniest nibble of soul essence from Xavier. You did not stop. You had more than enough time to stop yourself and make things right when you were alive. But that's simply just too far now. Yes, too far, in fact. So tell, once you got a tiny nibble from Xavier, you just had to fuck around and find out. You had more than enough time to go back. You fucked with time, for fuck's sake. So tell me, Edmund, am I right? Or am I just as delusional as the idea of you being happier and free in another world? Escaping your consequences, perhaps? Mark my words, Edmund. No god in any realm will let you walk free. Whether you succeed or not, every world you go to will target you, seek you out, kill you. That's why I'm recording this, because I'm not afraid of you. Of course, when the time comes and my death arrives, I will cry, I will beg, I will get on my knees, I will offer so many things to you, but I won't sign that contract. Because if me and you had the same ideologies, I wouldn't have gone searching those guys. No, no. Okay. I used to lay out some politics, but I'm ready to deliver my timeline. Unknown time period, Xavier talks to Edmund. Unknown time period, Xavier leaves and Edmund studies soul essence, builds the collector. Edmund turns himself into the Eldritch Horror and brings a camera from the future. Not really just the future, but more around the 1980s. In the 1800s, the Allison's family was stripped and ripped apart. 1980s to the 1900s, the ground around Allison's houses collapsed, starting the rumor around the land. I forgot to mention, or maybe I did, after Xavier left you, and the time you built the collector, you cursed the land. Around that time, Carlos became an inventor, fascinated by cameras and the evolution of technology. 1940 to 1960s, Carlos gets married and has a kid and opens an arcade with his wife Lucy, who inevitably dies. 1960 to 1980, Carlos finds Litho on his path to make immortality to get his wife back and dies. Owen then goes to therapy with Celio either before or after Carlos dies. In 1980 to 2003, Owen has a child and dies in the same cave looking for the same things his father was searching, leaving Wyatt with the arcade and mansion. In 2008 to 2013, Sarah kills her bullies at around the age of 5 to 10. Taken to the station and meets Celio, where Celio then becomes her caretaker. 2013 to 2020, Sarah meets Lewis in middle school. Actually, it would be 2013 to 2000, I don't know, maybe... to 2018, where they met in middle school. In 2020, however, Lewis and Sarah met Oliver in high school and plan to open a company. Something happens at the arcade, and Lewis starts recording video diaries in order to cope with what's happened. Around the same time, Lewis started dating Wyatt. Norman is killed by Sarah or Alysso and is turned into a robot or cybernetic enhancements so he can be the face of Watchful Eye Entertainment. In 2022, they founded and began the Dreamworld Entertainment business and built the facility, where Lewis built and scraps the 4 extra animatronics, and Sarah keeps getting strange phone calls. In 2022, January through April, the month before opening day, around 2022, May, Sarah makes a contract with Litho. Because she didn't exactly plan for all this immortality crap until close to or around completion of the facility. Carlos then possesses Winnie, and Winnie murders Eric, who becomes ribbon dancer. Sarah murders Lewis and turns him into Starlight. The next 4 events of what I'm listing here happen within 3 weeks. Winnie kills Mike, who turns into Rex. Winnie kills the triplets, John, James, and Jake. Then, Sarah is possessed by Litho, and Audrey is killed by Lizzo or Winnie for investigating Mike and turns into Glory. After the end of 3 weeks, the triplets turn into Masquerade, Melody, and Mimic. Andrew Owens interviews Glory and is killed by her, who turns into Morris. Carly looks for her father and is killed by Winnie and turns into Chia. Ben in his acrimony tears down Lizzo's new VR system. Ben is electrocuted by the spirit of Owen or a rogue Oliver program, and Lizzo kills Liz shortly after that. Oliver then contacted Damien 2 weeks after their disappearance, and Damien at that point had been looking into the Dreamworld for the past 3 months. Oliver investigates and gathers evidence. Lizzo attempts to kill him with a TV trap that ultimately did not work. Around May 2022, May 3rd, Wyatt was hired a few weeks after opening day. Wyatt records and sends his findings to Rainbot or anybody who would publish his findings. 2022, May 17th, the facility collapsed. Then the episodes of 2 through 12 regarding the main story occurred. Up until 2023, it depends on when the recording started coming back, depends on when exactly Xavier intercepted the messages, started uploading them, but I would say 2003 just to be safe. 2023, May 20th, Litho covers everything up and restarts the facility, and Hazel brings the 4 discarded animatronics to her house, along with Allison trapped in his violin. Between 2023 May to August, the events of the Dreamworld game happened. Note, Ribbon Dance's code is... Ribbon Dance's code is redacted. Redacted. May's code is redacted. Trample Park World's code is redacted. Sea Adventure's code is redacted. So, where are we now? Everyone in the facility regarding animatronics remembers who they are. Winnie has had enough of Sarah, Litho, and let Star and Wyatt go. Wyatt finally learns a bit more about his family. Wyatt does not learn much about his family at all, and finally understands the animatronics' emotions of the events that they're in. Scared, confused, angry, hopeless. That's the closest he can get. It's a good way to end off. Especially Damien's jumping into angry face. I think I have to say that my favorite quote was, "Once a theater kid, always a theater kid. I have no regrets, darling. None at all." I think my favorite quote is my favorite quote of this franchise is my favorite quote from this series has to be, "Once a theater kid, always a theater kid, darling. I have no regrets, none at all. Once a theater kid, always a theater kid. I have no regrets, darling, none at all." Now, I would like to thank all of you for watching this far. I hope I have gotten us closer to the truth. I fear that Sarah's birthday will be nothing but a mass homicide and the end of the world as we know it. Honestly, after re-watching all of this, I have fallen in love with this story and these characters all over again, and I hope they make it out in time and safely as well. If only I had the time to tell you all the funny, degenerative theories that I had while analyzing the show. Oh, Sarah's a part of the cult. All the animatronics don't remember their past. maybe the man that was inside of the collector was Edmund's boyfriend or a friend of Xavier's. I sounded like a lunatic, if I'm being completely honest with you. And thank you, Rainbot, for giving me... Thank you, Rainbot. And thank you, Rainbot. And thank you, Rainbot, for giving people like me wonder and astonishment again. You deserve more credit than you are given. You deserve to be among one of the big shots. You deserve to be on the roster of big shots such as Glitch Productions, with their shows Murder Drones and Amazing Digital Circuits. You don't need a huge crew, a huge company, industry, or fancy animation to tell a story as good as yours. You and your crew did it with just animation, cuts, still images moving around, and tape cuts. I'd rather watch your stuff than Disney's. I'll cut that part out. I am very excited for season 2, and I can't wait to see it. I'm very excited for season 2. And whether or not I win, I'll be cheering you and your crew from the sidelines. From the sidelines. Hell, I might just write a new song because I love this thing so much. I don't really have the software to produce or make any music, but I don't know. I'm sure I'll figure out something. Good day to all you wonderful people. And may God save us. Because this all may not be a demon, but he is going to bring hell upon the world. This is rookie inventor, a rookie self-proclaimed detective, and investigator, Sheldon. This is investigator and rookie inventor, Sheldon, signing off. Hopefully not for the last time. Good day to you. Good luck. Stay safe.
Fuck. Come on. Fuck. You're not catching me today. Fuck you, you ugly bastard. Your wife hates you, you bastard. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, shoot! Oh God, I am not going back outside without my disguise. Fucking hell.